This episode of the Cloud Accounting Podcast was recorded at the Sage Transform Conference in October of 2022. It features 2 interviews with Sage executives. First, we spoke to Aaron Harris, Chief Technology Officer, who was joined by Walid Abu-Hadba, Chief Product and Development Officer. In the second interview, we spoke with Steve Hare, CEO of Sage Global. It's an all-star lineup. We talked with Aaron, Walid, and Steve about the future of Sage, both from a product and a strategy perspective. I hope you enjoy.
Here we are at Sage Transform 2022 in Orlando World Center Marriott. This is the Cloud Accounting Podcast. I'm David Leary.
And I'm Blake Oliver.
And today we have 2 guests. We have returning from last year, Aaron Harris. He's the Global CTO of Sage, but you are the founder of Intact.
I was part of the founding team. I don't want to take that much credit.
Okay. All right.
But I was there at the beginning, and I was writing a lot of code in the very early days.
Yeah, actually writing code. And then we have Walid Abu-Hadba. I said it right? I got it?
That's perfect.
But you just call him Walid, right?
You just call me Walid.
Walid, that's the easiest. And he is the Chief Product and Development Officer at Sage. So I think tomorrow, Aaron, you're doing your keynote's going to be kind of the new stuff.
Yes.
So we won't get this out until after tomorrow. So can you fill us in, like what's new? Like what's happening, what's gone on since the last year? Fill us in.
So the big focus of my session tomorrow is going to be on AI and what we're doing with AI to both drive more automation in accounting workflows, but also using AI to create more trust and confidence in the business. And the other big thrust of the session tomorrow will be focused on actually, what do accountants need to be successful with all of these workflows? The industry hasn't done a great job providing tools that are actually sort of where the accountant works, whether, in email and spreadsheets and whatnot. And so we have an opportunity with a product called Inbox that takes all of this activity that's coming into the accounting team through really sort of unmanaged ways, organizes it, and creates a way to kick off AI-powered workflows, from those inbound communications. So it's all about the job of an accountant and how we can use AI and other emerging technologies to make them more effective.
And so if I captured this correctly today, I saw, yes, you have an inbox, which a lot of apps have. You have an inbox, and we even have it for like my own company. I have like AP at sunburrowapps.com. But basically, if I have multiple companies, multiple entities, you're giving me one email address for everything, and then you're just being smart, like, oh, this is for entity A, this is for entity B, this is for entity, and you're routing it to whoever it needs to go to.
We're giving you a web-based workflow management tool that originates everything from your accounting inboxes. Right? You may have multiple AP inboxes, maybe for different businesses, but ultimately you want one central place where the accounting team works on all of the workflow that's associated with these emails.
Okay, so I can still have lots of email addresses, but you're consolidating to one view, and then I process it to wherever it needs to go in the GL.
It goes beyond just consolidating to one view. One thing is really important to kind of explain what Aaron and his team built. The accounting world is ready for, it's rich of data, number one. I mean, the data is the heartbeat of all the businesses today. And it's really ready for an AI disruption model. And if you look at what Aaron and his team built around the operating models around our AI, it's world-class. They built by far the best DevOps environment around AI. Their ability to create models, deploy these models, and create models and deploy them in a real products, really, really easy and simple for us. So what Aaron was talking about in terms of the workflow is we're gonna take his ideas around what we call unified workflow environment. Think of it beyond the inbox. It's inbox plus, okay? Back to C and C++ environment. It will allow us to take all the workflows away from, existing products and put them into an environment that will apply a lot of AI to that environment and allow you to route things in a more seamless way and actually solve them before they even come to the environment in there. So that's kind of the future for us.
So the inbox is really, it's not just this little tool for AP, it's a platform you built that's going to eventually have other inputs wherever those inputs come from.
If the way all accounting workflows happen, whether you're working with your suppliers, your customers, maybe with some regulatory agencies, there many times those workflows are kicked off because somebody in accounting received an email. That email may have a bill attached to it. That email might have a request for information that's related to accounting. When are you going to pay me? Sort of things. What is my balance? But ultimately, all of these emails flow into the accounting team, launch these workflows. And there's not a product today that actually organizes and manages all that and seeks to take these emails, understand the nature of the emails, and kick off the appropriate AI-powered workflow.
It's really interesting to hear you talking about this because we do have a product similar to this in the accounting firm space. Small accounting firms a lot of them are using a tool called Carbon now, which is around an email inbox that consolidates everybody's emails into one workflow solution, and then you create a task based on those emails, right? And kick off processes.
Carbon is a good product, but this is a platform too. It's not actually just a product.
So tell me what that means.
It is for us, it's gonna be extendable. It's going to have an object model that allows you it's going to be API driven, and you could actually extend the API yourself. So we'll have ISVs, you're going to have customers, you're going to have other people who actually will be able to add workflows to it and extend the workflows beyond just what we are doing at Sage. So it's actually a full workflow environment and a platform that sits on top of AI, but it's all driven by also AI. So, the powering engine underneath it is the AI engine that Aaron has built in Sage over the last 3-4 years into it. And that's really the power behind it.
Very exciting. We've also got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different press releases that we've been handed today.
Yeah.
Your PR team, marketing team are very busy, but clearly you've been putting out a lot of different features and products.
We were just talking about just how prolific our development teams have been this year in getting more products to market. It's actually been a lot of fun to have board working with me. He's just like pumped so much energy into our development teams and gotten them so focused on shipping lots of great new products. Hence, you've got 6 press releases sitting in front of you.
Yeah, what else is really exciting? Like what would you highlight?
One thing is having him built the best product bar none in the industry. And by the way, I have experience in Microsoft, and I worked at Oracle, and I worked at Ansys. So I have a broad experience, and I know software. The only 2 things I know in my life, I told everybody, is food and software. And it shows. So in that sense, what Aaron and his team, and mainly Aaron really led within Sage and outside Sage, but when he was in Intact, he built the most powerful extendable platform. And this is the areas from early on, Aaron emphasized the API model and API-driven development. That allowed us to create business models. So my job is really, in a lot of ways, really easy when I came into here. It's really nothing to do other than just align the resources to deliver on the vision that he built. That's really all I did. Now, let me tell you what we're excited about. I'm really excited about the vision that Aaron created around the digital network. This is an unbelievable vision. Nobody has it in the industry but us. It's number one. I'm very excited about the products that we're releasing. Our acceleration of product releases right now, in the last 12 months, we released more products and more code than we released in, as far as I know, actually.
I agree. I think between your acquisitions and the product releases, the last 18 months, you guys have been steaming. Like,
yeah.
It's compared to historical, it took decades to get bank feeds, right?
I actually hadn't seen the video they showed, like the recap of the last year. I hadn't seen that until just now. And I gotta say, it was moving.
So when you talk about APIs, right?
Yes.
Like, Aaron, you always believed in that, having developers build through APIs to get their data into the accounting system. But
yeah.
The thing that got the most applause today was basically a tool to import CSV files and Excel files. So, and me coming from a developer background, right, and running a development team in the APIs team, every time I see a tool that helps people take CSV data and get it into something easier, that just gives that other product that's creating that dump of CSV data another reason to still not integrate through an API. So, how did you guys did you just forget it? Like, why did you build this? And obviously they want it because that had the biggest ovation out there.
There's always a moment in time where you have to say to yourself, I've been trying to get them to do this for the last 15 years. I still absolutely believe in it, but you know what? I'm going to have to listen to the customer and give them the solution that they need today to solve what's driving them nuts today. And so, when you see an audience applaud so much for something like that, it shows that they've been wanting this, and the solution that we've given them now is so much better than what they've been using before. And by the way, the capability that Aravinda showed today sits on top of the APIs.
Yes. And that's the most important thing. It's not like we are going around the API, we're creating something, access to the system that's different. It's actually just a tool on top of the API that you actually designed, Aaron, early on in the Intacct space.
And to give our listeners an idea of what we're talking about, well, what I saw on the screen, correct me if I'm wrong, is I import my file, my Excel file, and then I get to now map and validate the columns and the data, so I don't have to go get an error and then go and refix my file. I can do it in the app. Is that right?
Yep. So you don't have to work with predefined templates, right? And a lot of accounting records are pretty complex and have lots and lots of fields. So some of these templates might have 150 columns. Yeah. And you've got to have the correct
exact right
column,
header.
And don't put a semicolon somewhere.
Data types in there.
Or you got one invalid row, and now you got to go find the row. And
yeah. So now AI just takes a look at the file you uploaded, right? And it gets really smart about saying what's the meaning of each column, and it does a first pass at mapping. Human takes a look. Am I happy with the mapping? I can make little adjustments, and then I hit go.
Yeah. And I think everybody, and the reason why you got all this, everybody has some legacy app in their tech stack that they can't get rid of because it's the only app that does some special for construction, and they have to add it, and it just dumps out bad data. And yeah, so you're right. You kind of eventually have to listen to the customer, or maybe these developers don't even exist anymore. They're just on this old software that just keeps running, right? And there's no company anymore that runs on that software or builds that software, so they're never going to build an API.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's interesting. So you guys, baseball, big announcement. So you are now. Are you just sponsoring Major League Baseball, or is the power of your AI doing stat stuff? And is MLBA? Are they?
So I mean, first of all,
and we should, David. We should preface this by saying Sage is now an official partner of Major League Baseball, and this is Sage's first North American sports partnership.
Correct.
So
yep.
Okay, and yeah, the part that got our attention was you're going to help MLB do data analysis of some sort, but I was kind of vague on what that exactly means. Do you know what that is yet?
So we've connected our data scientists, with Major League Baseball, and we're exploring some ways that we can, help provide some AI-powered insights. But I'll tell you what.
That's good because baseball fans are the biggest stats nerds of any sport.
Right? We did our homework here, right? The sport that CFOs like, the sport that accountants like, is baseball, right? They want to, at the end of the day, they want to go sit at a baseball stadium and just unwind, right? And relax. So the thing that's the most, I think, impactful about this is that the Intacct product as a platform has a huge ecosystem around it that depends on brand awareness, right? So a reseller is not going to be as effective at selling Sage Intacct if the customers they're trying to reach don't know who Sage is. Right? An accounting firm is not going to be successful convincing clients to move on to, the accounting platform if they don't know who Sage is. And so it's just it's a real show of commitment to all of our partners, all the ecosystem around Sage, that we're making a really, really meaningful investment in brand. It's not just the Major League Baseball investment, it's also everything you've seen with the new brand launch that we've been doing over the last year.
Exactly.
Well, maybe you can use some of that AI to figure out which teams are cheating.
I am not sure that is, anybody could do that yet.
Well, no, because that one team did cheat, and they were tracking it all in an Excel spreadsheet, because we think we covered that for the show.
I know.
So now you guys can just
automate
take over
that for them? The Astros, maybe?
I think we're going to want to stay away from controversies.
Exactly.
Like that.
Exactly.
So can you speak about, so I know you guys had some announcements with Microsoft. You're partnering with Microsoft. Is it Microsoft Teams only type stuff? Or you guys, you're moving to Azure? Does that mean you're not on AWS? What's that announcement?
Okay, so the deal with Microsoft has 4 main components to it. Okay. And we're still actually good partner with AWS. We're partnering, we're multi-cloud. We're committed to a multi-cloud architecture for us. So we're never going to commit to just only one cloud implementation. That doesn't really work anymore. So we have a great relationship with AWS, but our deal with Microsoft has 4 components to it. Number one is Azure hosting environment. So we will be actually using more of Azure to host our intact implementation and some of our new product offerings like Active, the product Active, or Sage Active in Europe. So we will be using that element in there, and they're going to help us to go in there. Microsoft offers a really rich environment in Azure, secure environment, and a very, to be honest with you, also incredibly attractive pricing structure. So that's number one. Number two, which is something we're very excited about, is the technology integration. Look, Microsoft is the productivity company on the planet. They have Microsoft Office, and not just Teams, but the Microsoft Office is the number one productivity tool. And for us, and every single accountant that I know of on the planet uses either Excel, Word, or PowerPoint, or a combination of those 3. But I don't know of a single accountant who does not use Excel, as an example, on the planet. So imagine more integration between Sage products and Microsoft products in there. Teams is only the first channel, and actually the champion of the team channel was Aaron. Aaron actually had a vision where he said, look, why do we take the accountant out of their way to approve a PO or approve a particular invoice or do a particular workflow? We could just, if you're sitting in the office and you have Teams, we could just pop up a message that says basically approve this, or should we take you to the workflow? So the Teams is the first implementation and the integration. You're going to see more integration work coming up with other Microsoft products and online. Third is go-to-market. Microsoft has broadest reach of any software company on the planet. Okay, look, I used to work at Microsoft, and I could tell you there are more customers in Zimbabwe in Microsoft than are some big companies have across the entire universe. Okay, so that's the reality of it all. So having us align with them, we are the number one in small, medium-sized accounting firms on the planet. They are the number one productivity company. Aligning our product offerings together will give us a leverage of how to go to market more effectively and reduce our cost of sale and increase our selling. Last but not least is a tying to a marketing message. Having Microsoft, wonderful company, so is AWS, so Amazon, really wonderful company, with Sage, tying our brand to their brand, tying our brand to AWS brand is something very powerful and allows us to actually drive customer awareness and brand awareness across the globe. So those are the 4 dimensions for us why we did the deal.
And then I don't know if you have anything else, but I know I have one more question, but I don't know if you have anything else.
Oh, I was just going to point out some of the specifics of the Teams integration, because it seems
powerful.
Yeah, so being able to submit and manage expenses directly inside of Teams.
Inside Teams.
In a conversational UI.
So I'm a manager, my employee submits the expense, I just get a pop-up in Teams.
And you say approve.
Or
There's approve. And another thing is, imagine in the future, we're going to integrate our Sage HR capabilities. So you actually, within Teams, you could say, my payroll, change my deductions or that sort of thing. So we want to make it really easy for our joint customers to actually just remove all the friction from the system.
So one of the biggest pains in the neck for accounting teams is that they depend so much on employees, to get their stuff done, right?
Yep.
The month-end close isn't the month-end close until they've chased everybody to get their timesheets in, their expense reports in,
correct,
until they've asked everybody, how much of this purchase order should I accrue? And the entire history of the business has been, well, they've got to go into, either they've got to put a piece of paper on the accounting team's desk, right? Or maybe we've allowed them to log into the accounting product and do that stuff. We're essentially saying, just do it somewhere where they're comfortable working. And ultimately the message is for the accounting team, right? And the message is you're not going to have to chase people anymore because we've made it so easy.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I think, Walid, you threw out this term, Sage Digital Network, then 2 or 3 other people said it on stage. Like, what is this Sage Digital Network?
This is the brainchild of
So
Aaron.
the Sage Digital Network is a collection of technology services that enable our customers to digitize the workflows that they have across their business ecosystem. So digitize all the workflows with their customers, with their suppliers, with banks, lenders, creditors, regulatory authorities, their employees. And all of these services are connected to a common network that allows us to create the best possible experience that we can derive from all of the activity across all of our products. So whether you're on Sage Intacct, you're on Sage 50, you're on Sage Active, all of these products connect to the same network that creates, one giant set of data flows that does two things. The first is obviously it drives really powerful AI, right? So, our early customers of our invoice processing capability, they're remarking to us on how the AI seems to be getting smarter and smarter. In their mind, they believe it's because we've built an AI like just for this customer that's learning as they add more. The reality is it's learning from everybody, right? So if customer A is processing invoices from widgets.inc, and now customer B starts to process invoices from widgets.inc, the network architecture allows us to build models that benefit, all customers that happen to be working with widgets.inc. But the second part of this is we can now start to see across this network how much activity there is for these various suppliers and lenders and banks. And we can start to pinpoint our efforts to elevate those connections from an AI-based automation to a purely digital connection. So at the point where widgets.inc has a couple thousand customers that are driving, tens of thousands of invoices on a monthly basis, we can say to our customers, we're actually just now going to go create a direct digital connection to widgets.inc, get you connected, and now going forward, you won't have to receive a bill via email. You won't have right? It's going to come in directly and digitally.
So instead, in our terms, so instead of me connecting my bank and getting my bank feeds, you're going to allow me to connect to all the other things I need to get into my accounting system, not just bank feeds.
Or all the stuff you have to push stuff into, like your compliance reporting.
All right.
So it's like, a lot of accountants are familiar with, say, Bill.com payment connections, right? I connect to my vendor, my customers, and we can now exchange invoices digitally. This is like that, but for all kinds of data.
For all kinds of data, it's really important to understand. It's about not just the data, but the connections between the data. So the general ledger is the heart of any business operation. It's the brain and the heart of any business operation. Okay, that's the last thing anybody will turn off. Even when businesses go bankrupt, sometimes that's already shut down. The only thing that's left is actually the general ledger and the accounting system. It's just a reality. Okay, so that's how it's sticky. The issue behind it is we come to it from that point of view. So you take the general ledger and then you create all the connections around it. So we have knowledge of everything that happens in your system, all the way from your payroll to all your transactions, AP, AR, all the connections, banking feeds, that way. A lot of our competitors or other people who are they're coming to it from the leaf. They have one piece of data and they're trying to interpolate what that goes. They don't have a full view of the entire graph of connections. So it's about the data, but also the interconnections of the data in there. And we will have that as part of the digital network into it. And what's important to us is our Sage ID so every one of our customers will have a Sage ID component. So your ID follows with you in the system, and it follows you with your data and your connections in a secure way, by the way, and you control your own data and information.
That's very exciting. I can see a lot of potential, just all of this, like you said. So, that really ties into what you were talking about with the inbox, with the automation, because I can see data coming in from my customers, my vendors into that inbox, bypassing these insecure email channels.
Exactly.
Yep. And now it's that's the
inbox becomes basically the front door to the Sage Digital Network.
Got it.
And then just a lot of people, they send these fraudulent invoices out. See, it's phishing, right? See who will pay that. In theory, you're going to see 10,000 of those come in instantly and shut them down for everybody.
Yeah. So I'm going to show the audience something in my keynote. So we've filed a patent on this approach to reading data from invoices that creates something like a digital thumbprint for each vendor in the network. And the thumbprint is basically, it's not looking at the data on the invoice, it's looking at how they format it. What are sort of the common elements of an invoice from widgets.inc. Once we have that fingerprint developed, irrespective of where invoices come from our customers, we can train it and make it smarter. But the really cool thing is if an invoice comes in and our AI scans it and it purports to be widgets.inc, but the fingerprint doesn't match, that is a very fast red flag to the customer that this may not actually be from widgets.inc.
So like scammer fakes an invoice in Word, it looks kind of like the official invoice. Your AI can tell the difference.
Right. And so the next step is now when we get widgets.inc fully digitally connected to the network, we will have information about from Widget.Inc., including what are the payment details for Widget.Inc. So if it fails, the first test, the fingerprints don't match, we then can look at the data and say, hey, why does this invoice have payment details that aren't going to where we expect payments to go to?
That's exact. And take another element in here. Widget.Inc. would send an invoices by generally between $500 to $1,000, making up stuff here across the entire network. All of a sudden, I see something coming in as $20 or $2,000, or something like that. Those things, digital network will be able to flag and intercept very quickly, and then just eliminate it out of the system before it even gets to you.
This is like spam detection for invoices in a
With
way.
a much better,
with
part
very
of
different
it.
consequences.
Because this happened a lot the last year. I've seen this over and over again where Widgets Inc., somebody will Widgets Inc. S, and they'll put a little letter at the end.
I feel like we've
set up
started
the
a
domain.
business together on this podcast.
Right. And they'll send out the email with the separate domain, but it looks like the real email. They'll get your email signature, do it all, and like, hey, we got a new bank. Send the payment to this bank routing numbers now instead, and then people are just writing numbers. But a human's not going to see that in Microsoft Microsoft Outlook.
Exactly
That
right.
email address difference, you're just not going to see it. But in theory, you pick up on that in a heartbeat. Of
course.
Yes, this is not the real company. This is a fake domain.
And that's why the
Yeah.
network is so powerful, because if you're doing this just for one company or one product, you're not going to have the richness of data that you need to make really smart AI.
Right. You've got the payment information. You've got, what the invoices look like. You know who their customers are.
Take this to the end conclusion, okay? At the end of the day, I always make a statement is, why do we even have invoices? Why? So when you are connected to digital network, Widget.Inc., if you have a smart contracts connected to it too, then it's automatic transactions happen from general ledger to general ledger. Mm-hmm. Okay, think about it at the final end. And this is something that Aaron speaks about a lot. And this is not going to happen in the next couple of years, but it is on the roadmap for us to happen. So when Aaron talks about full digitization, what he's not meaning that just taking an invoice and digitalizing that. That's the next step to the ultimate goal. Well, the ultimate goal is when you have all these suppliers and all these customers connected, truly fully connected to the network, then we could basically think about it as giving them a smart contract between them, and the handshaking will be, hey, transfer money from this account to that account. All you have to do is send an approval from one person versus the other, and it's 100% secure.
Right.
There is no invoice per se.
Right.
So do you see that going cross-platform? So
It has to.
yeah, I was going to because if somebody Widgets Inc. here is on Intact,
Absolutely.
and they're selling to a bunch of businesses that might be on QuickBooks,
Absolutely.
there's
Yeah.
going to have to be some.
We're committed to openness.
Now are all the platforms working together to create
So this is
in
when,
agreement?
when Walid said Inbox is a platform. So first of all, it's free, right? So we want to get it to as many businesses in the world, but it also already has built into it connectors to all the popular accounting products. So if you kick off that workflow that ultimately results in posting a bill into your accounting product, Inbox is connected to whatever accounting solution you happen to use. Now we hope it's Sage, right? But ultimately, for us to get this network to work the way we need it to, it's got to be open to customers that are running on other
systems.
accounting products.
Well, and that's important because we've talked to a lot of customers in the past year, and basically everybody, unless they're really lucky, they're running multiple different GL systems because you acquire companies and they're on. Yeah, that's really so. Inbox is going to be a standalone product that I could use, or
we don't. Okay, let me just read. It's going to be our universal UI that we're going to give to people across all our customers and third-party customers. When I say a customer, anybody should be able to get the inbox and connect through it. How are we going to look at it in terms of business model? How are we going to do all these things? We're going to make the base product free. Okay, there will be services. There will be people building on top of it, workflows and that sort of environment. But really, really think about it in this way. It is a platform that is the UI for our digital network, Sage Digital Network. So it is, so you have the Sage Digital Network, bunch of services that Aaron talked about, and bunch of data and all richness in there. We're gonna have products will go directly into them, like Intact, but then we're going to have this inbox, universal inbox. That's not the right name. Potentially, we the marketing
Working
people
title.
will do other things.
We
the
may
working
rebrand
title.
this, yeah.
We may rebrand this in whatever name we comes up in there. But it's going to be a platform that will have developer experience. I mean, developers will be able to pick it up and add services to it, add components, and we will be adding components to it. But it's going to be a way for us to connect different systems together. And by the way, it's open. That means my other competitors, more than welcome to come in. And we're going to actually make them happy, and we're going to make them first-class citizens as part of that environment. Because we actually will succeed, all of us together, if we make this richer environment.
Because this is how insane it is right now. So I use Dext, which auto entry type product, and you guys provide auto entry. So I use Dext, and Dext is on intact. So they send me my receipt. So I get it in my inbox. I forward it back to Dext, the actual product, so they can scan it and put it into my QuickBooks. And it's like that's a whole extra app and like 3 extra emails that shouldn't exist at all. You should just shove it into my QuickBooks.
Your scenario is the inbox that Aaron talked about. Okay, it's a working title. It's a working name.
It's not bad.
Okay, it's actually we like it. We have it to like
It might
Aaron,
be easy to
understand.
trademark.
That's true.
We like Sage Digital Network. I mean, we went around several times about what naming to have it. We ended up with Sage Digital Network.
We actually kicked off some quite intense marketing projects to help us figure out what to name the Sage Digital Network. Yeah, we came back to Sage Digital Network.
So what we're trying to do here with the inbox, not to replace your GLs. That's a really important element people need to understand. This is not a product that will replace QuickBooks.
Right.
That's actually not the intent of
It's more
that.
like a stoplight or an intersection. It's gates and controls.
It's a platform that allows us to streamline the workflows or eliminate those workflows and allow you to. If you're living in QuickBooks, but you use auto entry on our side, okay? We're forcing you between us and QuickBooks to use 2 different products and going through that. We're gonna give you the inbox that says, fine, I'll take the information out of the auto entry very quickly and put it into your QuickBooks without you having to spend that extra gyrations of, firing up the application and doing all these clicks.
That makes sense.
All right, I think that's a wrap, right?
Yeah, I think
excellent.
you guys, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
To the next year.
Always fun.
It's great.
And just if anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way? LinkedIn? Do you want to?
LinkedIn's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
However, don't be offended if I don't respond quickly. I get quite a lot of inbounds.
Yeah, maybe you could
on
fix
LinkedIn.
the LinkedIn inbox while you're at it.
Yes,
please.
That's something. We'll talk to Microsoft about it. How is that? By the way, we have actually talking about it. Part of the integrations we're doing, and our thing is going to have an integration between LinkedIn and our Sage HR. So that's something we're working on with Microsoft too.
That's great. I've always thought like the LinkedIn's incredible value is as the Rolodex of the world.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
an unbelievable platform.
Yep.
And by the way, our digital network is somewhat similar to LinkedIn in that we're connecting suppliers and customers together on a platform, but
Okay, that's a good way to think.
So
So
think about it in that context in a lot of ways, and that's what Aaron and his team have done.
cool.
Walid, Aaron, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
So, Steve Hare, CEO of Sage, you were previously the CFO of Sage Global. That's not uncommon, but it is unusual for the CFO to become the CEO. How did that happen?
But you left one part out. Chartered accountant. You actually, you're one of. Well, I'm not an accountant, but you're one of our listeners.
Not just a CFO, but an accountant who became a
There you go.
CFO that
Exactly.
then became a CEO, which I think actually that's very rare. So, how did you end up in the CEO seat?
Yeah, it is a little rare, and I think probably in technology, particularly, it's rare. But remember, our customers, by and large, are CFOs, they're accountants, and even with our smaller business owners, even if they're not accountants, what they're buying is, automation. They're buying, that functionality for their back office. And so I am an accountant by training. I was, trained with what was Ernst & Winnie at the time, now Ernst & Young. But I spent all of my early career in industry, in manufacturing, a lot of time in telecoms technology. I also spent 4 years in private equity. So I have a very wide amount of experience. I did come to Sage to be CFO. But then when I got the opportunity to become CEO, I think that combination of technology and financial and really understanding what our customers are buying, right? I mean, I said it on stage today, a little tongue-in-cheek, but I'm passionate about workflows, but I understand the workflows because I've operated.
Because you've done it. You've had to deal with, I forget exactly what you said, but too many business systems.
Yeah.
Right. Every time you have to log into an app.
Exactly, like logging in and out. And the thing is, from a technology perspective, the technology exists to be able to make all this interoperability a much better experience for the customers. And really, that's what we're trying to, with the digital network, what we're trying to do is create a place where we can create that connectivity, bring everything together, and then also create a user experience that allows you to consume things, which are both Sage and also Sage's partners, ISVs, etc. But we need to curate that so that when you're consuming that, it's a seamless integrated experience. And if we can do that, then you can have that single sign-on. You can be in the application consuming lots of different things, and we look after the security again.
So you're CEO of Global Sage. So this is, how many different products and divisions are you guys at now?
Yeah, so what we've done is actually we've just done a recent reorganization to bring the product offerings into a number of discrete business units. So for example, Sage Intacct is a business unit. We have a business unit for HR, for payroll, for small accountants. So we have, and one for the digital network. So we have 8 in total. And what we're doing is bringing together all of the products within those business units so that we can deliver this integrated experience that I'm talking about. So, what often happens with Sage is people will say exactly that, right? Well, you've got all these different products that are on-premise. We all know about Intacct, we all know about accounting, but all these other products, Sage 50, 100, 200, 300, what are they all about? What are you doing? And the answer is what we're doing is bringing them all into this connected place, right? So people will migrate from Sage 50 or Sage 300 to Intacct. But what we also want to be able to do is deploy these cloud services like accounts payable automation into those existing customers, even if they don't want to migrate their general ledger. I mean, one of the again, advantages of being an accountant is I understand the effort that it takes to migrate from one system to another because it's different, right? If I migrate from Sage 50 or Sage 200 to Sage Intacct, it's not just that you're going to a cloud native product, you're having to change the way you configure your chart of accounts. I mean, one of the big fantastic things about Intacct is it's multi-dimensional ledger. But to get the benefit of the multi-dimensional ledger, you have to do a lot of work to configure to get the use of that, right? And if you've been using, Sage 50 or Sage 200 for 20 years, there has to be a compelling reason for you to make that investment of time. If we can give you this taste of the cloud services and get you to engage with the digital network, then over time you'll really start to see the benefit of that. And what you will then do is, over time you will re-engineer your processes so that actually ultimately that migration of the general ledger is easier.
So it sounds like it's not like, and I remember, when Sage years ago put their stake in the ground, we're going for cloud, and I think you worked with an API company. So instead of really trying to get all your users off your desktop legacy old products into your cloud offerings, or from a GL perspective, you're like, stay on whatever you want. But because now we have this suite of other cloud offerings, you're going to use some of we don't care what parts of Sage Cloud you use, you're going to use some parts of it. That's kind of where your strategy is at.
And what is important though is we want to move the customers so that more of the transactional flow is in the network. Okay, so one of the downsides of having customers with their general ledgers on a desktop product is that they connect when they need to connect, but they're still doing flows that are not through the network. So what we really want is if you're a Sage 50, Sage 200 customer, we do want you to issue your invoices, receive your invoices. Those flows, we really want those to be on the network. Why? Because then we can deploy artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? those data pools are very valuable in order to then give customers insights. If we can't see what you're doing, then we can't get the benefit from AI and ML. So we really want to pull more of the flow in so that effectively the general ledger, yes, it's a repository for data, but every time there's a transaction, the transaction is going into the network.
So you made a joke today on stage about the dollar and the pound being about the same right about now. What the heck is going on in the UK? Give it to us. For I've been hearing the coverage here, on NPR and our local, our US reporters. Like, what's your take on it?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at it, first of all, look at it from a currency perspective, actually, just to be serious around the impact on Sage. 80% of our revenue is outside the UK. So actually, when we report our results in November, we'll get a bit of a lift from the fact that the dollar is strong. But I think what all business people look for is you want consistency, you want predictability. So to some degree, it almost doesn't matter where the exchange rate is, but what does matter is volatility, because then it's really hard to plan for. And I think if you bring it back to the UK...
Well, and so with 80% of your revenues outside the UK, I mean, that's not in pounds, right? So you're okay. The exchange rate isn't impacting you.
Yeah, so when we report our revenue, it'll actually be slightly higher because we have more dollar-based revenues than we do sterling. But we obviously have sterling costs because we have a lot of people in the UK. So that consistency, that predictability is important. And I think, so bring it back to the UK, what both political parties are really committed to is growth, but they have very different views about how to drive that growth. And, we lobby both the existing government and also, the Labour Party. And our messaging is, look, if you want the economy to grow, 2/3 of jobs and probably close to 60% of GDP in the UK is small, mid-sized businesses. So you need to focus on making it easy for small, mid-sized businesses, first of all, to be set up, secondly, to grow. So things like scale-up capital, the tax incentives around helping customers to grow is super, super important. And if you look at the stats, the UK is fantastic for startup, right? So kind of ranks really only behind the Valley in terms of the amount of venture capital that's available for startups.
And is that still the case after Brexit?
Still the case today. But where we need to do more work is scale up. So as businesses scale, this is why, there's always this thing, why is Sage the only big tech company in the UK? Somewhere along the line, as companies are scaling, they find it easier to go into private hands, list on the NASDAQ, whatever, because that access to capital, particularly growth capital, somehow is easier to obtain. So I think the big thing for both parties is you need to make this a country where people can scale their businesses, which means you need predictability, the infrastructure, access to capital. They're the key things.
Interesting. So you've been spending money. So I think you said you guys done at 1.1 billion in R&D,
yep.
And then did you say another billion in acquisitions?
That includes Intact, but yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, the Intact, but that was a steal. Was it $700 million or something? That's a little bit ridiculous. So what are you guys building? What's all this money being spent on?
Yeah. So a lot of it, I think you could see it in some of the releases we were talking about with Intact. I think there was some skepticism when Sage bought Intact as to whether, we would be able to continue to grow at the same rate. Would we be able to bring these kind of two, what at the time were somewhat different cultures together and get the best out of it? And I think, one of the things I'm very proud of is, you could see it today on stage, the amount of innovation that we're continuing to drive through that platform is really, really high. And actually, somebody came up to me as I was leaving the hall, who's been with Intact, for 20 odd years, and he said to me, "This is my 10th transform, and I just want to tell you, Steve, I have never seen this level of innovation." So that's great because we've invested in that, but we've also invested in the digital network. We've invested in our small accounting offering, which is more relevant really in the UK and Europe than it is here. Where here in North America, particularly the US, we are very, very focused on winning in that mid-sized business with Intact.
And so speaking of accountants and bookkeepers, obviously in the mid-market space, there's accountants and bookkeepers that support Intact. But you guys, on the other side, you guys started buying a couple tools that are just for accountants and bookkeepers. What's the
Go Proposal and Futurely.
Futurely, yeah. So, and then even Auto Entry arguably was more of an accountant's tool as well.
That's right.
Like, do you plan on having? I know you said you have a payroll division and you have your human division and you have your mid-size. Are you going to have an accountants division?
So as part of the small business unit, we have a dedicated accountants group, and particularly in the UK, to win in that small segment, you have to win through accountants, and I think what we're focused on is not just winning in terms of the end user, but focusing on the world of an accountant is changing. The way they run their practice is changing, and actually they're driving now quite a lot of digitization, because the smaller accountants who used to be quite happy for their clients to turn up with physical receipts and get them to write up their books, etc. That's not how accountants want to run their business. They want to capture everything digitally. So even if the accountant is doing the books and doing the tax returns, which for a lot of small businesses they still do, they want to digitize that. They want to collect the information and they want to be reviewing it in a digital format. And then the other thing is, governments now are pushing very hard to create that digital interchange. So the UK government has delayed slightly making tax
MTD,
digital, right? But a number of other countries in Europe are now going down the same sort of road, saying, right, we want the interaction with us, whether it be taxes, whether it would be how you interact as a local citizen paying local taxes as well as federal taxes. We want all this to be digital, and so we're using our tools to do that, but at the same time help those accountants migrate their own businesses. So we have something called Sage for Accountants, which gives them that capability to bring everything in and run their own businesses.
Can I bring up a personal gripe? So one of the things that I very much dislike whenever I go look at an app that I'm looking at for my firm or my clients is I go on there and I can't find pricing. And I brought this up last year. I asked, why can't I see the pricing for Intact as an accountant? And why do I have to go through this, request pricing, and I don't know if I'm getting the right price or that sort of thing? Like, why not make it open and transparent?
Yeah. So actually for small business we do. So we've already, with our accounting suite or our small business suite, we have now priced that into editions, and you can see the price for each of those editions on our website.
I guess I should say, I mean Intact.
Yeah.
Intact's the one I'm...
So we started by doing it with small. So what we're looking at now with Intact, the way we do Intact at the moment is each client ends up pulling down a bespoke, package of modules, because we don't sell it as an edition, we sell it as modules. So we're looking at that at the moment. We will end up moving more towards, and I think Dan talked a bit about it in his keynote, where we approach it more on an editions basis, and so you'll be able to see transparently what's bundled into that edition, as opposed to it being built bespoke every time.
I feel like that could really help. QuickBooks is the 90% market dominant GL for accounting firms, and I think part of the reason is that it's just so easy to see the costs. And
I think the other thing as well is if you want digital adoption, right, so that it doesn't require a negotiation with a human being, then obviously you need to do that, right? And that's where we need to get to, because we need to make it much easier for people just to pull down what they're looking for and adopt it digitally.
I mean, ideally, I never have to talk to an enterprise salesperson ever again. Like, that's my dream.
Yeah.
And most accountants, I think, would agree with me that we just want to sign up, start onboarding our client, test it out, try it. That's the world we want to live in.
So we're working. So it's not a commitment, but we are working on it. We're looking at these additions.
Okay, that's great to hear.
Well, there's hope when the CEO is an accountant. That's when all the tech companies should have accountants as CEOs, and just like we've been talking this all, we want politicians that are accountants now too. I want politicians that aren't accountants.
That would help in the UK, maybe.
Well, I don't know if you know, but Liz Truss is a qualified accountant.
Well, that makes no sense, right? Because I'm hearing these stories. Like, okay, so your Bank of England, right, is pushing the brake, and here's Liz Truss pressing the gas on the pedal. And the markets obviously didn't like that, right? Like what? I don't know. Has she forgotten her accountancy?
Well, I don't know. She was actually, her first job was also, as well as being a qualified accountant, she also worked for a couple of quite large firms as an economist.
So even less reason for this. Yeah, it's...
Politics is controversial.
So I'm sure you have other interviews to do. You're very busy. Thank you for taking time with us today. If people want to get a hold of you, they want to learn more about Sage, what's the best way?
Do you just want to share share out the Sage Twitter handle or something like that?
Yeah, so you can follow me. I think it's at Steve Hare.
That's it.
I think that's it, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
at
it.
At Steve Hare.
At
Easy,
Steve Hare.
easy. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Very easy.
I'm following you right now.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Really,
Thank you.
Really good.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Steve. Great to see you.
Thanks a lot.